scholar. Look like a martyr to marauders like Tartar. Wise out, slaughter, whack MCs, order, applauder. Original woman, decipher the womb. Crown of creation, fruit of the planet, earth and the moon.
Peace, peace, peace. Welcome to another episode of Wise the Dome TV. Today, I have another very special guest. It's one of a powerful God, a producer, DJ, somebody who has traveled through, many different ciphers and understood and showed and proved that he was God in all of them. We're definitely going to get into some history of, of his journey in the 5%. We're also going to get into some history of the music industry. So peace to the God, Shot 7. I appreciate you for coming through.
Peace. Appreciate it, brother.
No doubt, God. No doubt, God. So let's start from the beginning. Everybody first time on, I like to kind of start from the beginning. So what sparked you, or if you can, just tell me about your journey and getting knowledge itself, from the early days.
Okay. Well, I kind of got knowledge itself a little different,
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people, I don't like to say this, but, a lot of people would get knowledge itself like through hip hop or pretty much hip hop.
Right.
And I didn't get it that way. I was in a neighborhood in Harlem where it was a lingo thing.
Mm.
So, I would hear the manifestations of the language that we speak, supreme mathematics. And honestly, I didn't know what they was talking about, but, I could remember certain ebonics or slang, as we would call it, until, I ran into a true and living God who gave me the understanding, broke it down to what I was saying as an elder would. So that's pretty much how I got knowledge itself, as we say, doing the knowledge,
Right.
listening,
Right.
look and listen around, my environment. And, later on, I began to hear it in hip hop. So it kind of made more sense,
Mm-hmm. Whenever you first started getting knowledge, and then you begin to, see certain aspects of our culture in, I guess, represented through some of the MCs within hip hop culture, what kind of went through your mind as a young God then, kind of seeing this knowledge itself be, something that certain MC, not all obviously, but certain MCs rapped about and put to the forefront in their music?
Well, at first, we would deal with, as a newborn, we would deal with the system of believing.
Mm.
So, I would believe these references that I would hear in these songs later, but yet you meet them or bump into them, it's a bit different.
Mm.
So when I want to say I got into the culture as far as living the way of life,
Mm-hmm.
I knew how to distinguish the difference from someone who was familiar with it, someone who knew it, someone who lived it, or someone who just like kind of heard about it, pretty much.
Right.
And a lot of that's in the hip hop community. It's a cool thing to be knowledgeable of it, or per se, oh yeah, I know about that. How people say, oh, I'm familiar with that, or I heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, because this culture is today is kind of media driven.
Right.
You know what I mean by that, God? It's kind of media driven where, like I said before, no one will go to the Allah school to see what's going on. They're gonna go to Google first,
right,
or Facebook to see, like, okay, what's this, da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be a whole spin of what we actually really live and teach, or how we live this way of life and culture.
Right.
So with rap, a lot of people would take our language to create their own wittiness.
Mm.
And I dislike that.
Right.
That's just, that's just me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get it how you live.
It's,
And also, it was just the culture of it, of the true and living, who really lived it. It was more based on, okay, righteous brother, righteous sister.
mm-hmm.
They're in they're in the hub of the universal family. So I can say it was a blessing for me to be in that realm of it instead of the, as my man Qasim would say, the job pretenders.
Right, right. Yeah, peace to the God, Qasim. As far as now, when you first started getting knowledge, were you already messing with the music then?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. Definitely. Well, I actually started in the music industry as a hip hop dance and choreographer.
Mm.
That's really how
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much snuck in,
Right.
And once that kind of got a little goofy, I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Hold, let me get back to my DJing and
Mm-hmm.
get into the structure of beat making." Then early on, moving on to producing.
Right. I kind of want to, and pardon self if we jump around chronologically a little bit,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I
No
mean?
doubt.
But being a DJ, right? I know oftentimes like if I'm working and or because it's not just at the club, right? If I'm working, how like you'll see DJs nowadays with their own YouTube channels, or they'll possibly be on Boiler Room, and they'll play these DJ sets, right? Some will be like 70 soul DJ sets.
Right.
Some will be reggae sets or whatever. But when it comes to creating a DJ set, right? As a DJ, you know what I'm saying? What's the science behind creating a good DJ set? Because some people may think it's just, playing records back to back, you know what I'm saying, with no uh I guess with I don't want to say with no thought behind it, but with no method behind it. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right. Well, actually, you know what? That's a good question. God. That's a very good
Appreciate you,
question.
God.
God. Uh, you have to understand the vision of things
Mm,
because you vision it before you even get into the audience.
hmm
If you do the playlist or however you DJ your set.
hmm
So if you just doing the set, you vision, okay, it's this type of people. Whether this is a reggaeton set, or this is a salsa set, or this is just underground hip hop, or it's top 40, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So you put all these things in your head and just vision what is it all of these individuals like. It's like you create these spaces of individuals in your head and you place these songs that's a reflection of a vibe you create. And
Mm,
that's how I make my mixtape
hmm
playlist or all my iTunes playlists, however. And most of the times I like to A&R stuff
hmm
where I would play certain records that I feel people missed.
Right. Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
hmm
if they missed it, I'm like, okay, now I just build from there. You
hmm
know, because music is universal, God. I just don't DJ one genre of music. I
Right.
tried it before, but it didn't work because
Right.
I would always continue to do other things and hear other things as a producer.
No doubt. No doubt. Um, if you can, I know you used to live in. Well, are you still in Atlanta right now, God?
I'm back in Delaware.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're in Delaware. Okay, okay.
yeah,
I know you lived in Atlanta at one time, and I know that
yeah.
was a part of your journey as far as, getting knowledge yourself, and then, being and traveling and seeing what, different cities and different ciphers was like. Look, what was your experience in Atlanta like, God?
Um, I mean, for the record, actually, I was actually born in Atlanta.
Okay, okay.
I was in Atlanta. I I went to high school here in Atlanta.
hmm
Well, I finished high school here in Atlanta, and later, well, early on, I went back to Harlem because, like I said in some of my interviews, my parents were my mother went to college at Pace in New York, and
hmm
my father was in the military. So always had, Harlem background. That's why I lived in New York more than I lived in Atlanta. So once I made the transition back to Atlanta, I wasn't familiar with 5%ers in Atlanta at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yet later on, I realized that they were there.
Mm-hmm.
Yet it was more of a people in and out of town thing, like college area.
Right.
Most people come to college, they would be righteous. However,
Mm-hmm.
and through that part of my life, I began to what is this? I can say pretty much master 120.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say it in that form, and master the culture and way of life of it.
Right.
This is probably like born knowledge, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere around there, born cipher, born knowledge, somewhere around in there. But I want to say around born wisdom, that's 92, 93, somewhere around in there. I began to see a structure that was different from the actual way of life of what I was taught and how I was taught.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with me having a family tree.
Right.
That will follow all the way back to Allah.
The Father, right. Mm-hmm.
So once I, gathered all of that right and exact, I pretty much had to ask permission to, to see if I could, per se, remix the structure in Atlanta or rebuild it, because it was kind of no, it wasn't kind of, it was nothing against Muslim. It was a Muslim structure. When we are 5%ers, we don't consider ourselves Muslim. We're just righteous people.
Right.
So it was bad. And yet some, out of bad, good can come.
Absolutely.
So those bad things to me were just difference in teachings.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people feel, due to us studying lesson that came from the Nation of Islam, that's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's just a part of our, that's just a part of our structure as being a newborn.
Right.
Because 120 lessons is history and geography.
Science.
And science. You understand what I'm saying? So when we're dealing with that, once we finish 120 lessons, there's 360 degrees.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see that structure at all.
Right.
Do
you think that part of that, because you did mention, obviously, Atlanta having Morris Brown and Clark Atlanta and Morehouse and all of these different universities in one spot, and with people coming from out of town from all different, like, do you think like that had anything to do to contribute to maybe some misunderstandings about the culture in those early days, or was it something else?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because one of my problems today with our way of life, right, is, let's say you from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
You got knowledge like this. I got knowledge in Harlem. I got knowledge like this. Such and such got it from, and we go to Atlanta. You may be more swift or powerful than I am.
Mm-hmm.
Another God may have another type of background and be the same as you, yet his teachings aren't a lot of teachings.
Right.
So now we have the following system.
Mm-hmm.
So when the following system comes, that's when it kind of went left, because everybody know everything.
Right.
Right. Everybody's always right. I know I got it this way, and so that was one of the problems. And to say that, when you have someone that's very swift in the memorization of 120 lessons,
mm-hmm.
you can still be blind because you're only going off the wisdom of what he's saying,
Mm-hmm.
not the understanding.
Right.
He's just showing you how great his memory is.
Mm. Mm.
As a newborn, that's a must. That's why our lesson says 100% correct before moving to lesson number 1.
Right.
So when all these people came, instead of people who were per se born and raised in Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
there was no one here to create a system.
Right.
So
right.
they had to accept outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only reason why I decided to step up, because, hey, at least my birth certificate say, y'all may not say I'm from Atlanta, but at least my birth certificate say. So I do
right.
have some power to say, okay, look, this is what we're going to do. Let me remix this and get this structure right and exact. But yet, let me make sure in the hub is right and exact. Because a lot of people just come and just do things, don't check back with the hub or any of that, and it'll be all messed up. That was the problem.
Right. Now, what was that process like, though, whenever you were like striving to build structure in Atlanta? Because, you know, and regardless to whether it's Atlanta or any other city, that's not always an easy task. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Listen, I had a few issues, you know. Yeah, I don't want to say this word, but I'm still a street guy. So, and I'm not a P. So,
right.
So at that time, I kind of had one foot still here, one foot, you know, in there. And when I was saying, I wasn't gonna let them Malcolm X me.
Right.
Because when you have those 4 devils, most times you don't need all 4 of them, or all 4 of them aren't gonna come.
Right.
They may come one at a time. So, and they may come from different individuals. So when I began to see those things come from different individuals, now I question, like, why?
Right. What's the root of it?
So yeah, you know, so it was a bit different, man. But you know, once we got it right and exact, the tradition it lasted for some time, you know, because I had help.
Yeah.
You know,
No
I
doubt.
had help from my brother Prince Shah Divine, a brother named Gabron, Almighty, a few other cats, you know.
Indeed.
I kind of brought them on to, you know, to help me structure, because, you know, they had the knowledge and understanding also.
No doubt. And peace to
as
those.
they were learning.
Yeah, peace to those gods as well. You know, I know that well, I'll preface by saying this. When I was younger, I remember, you know how, you know, just being an original man in this world, especially in the wilderness of North America, it doesn't take long to know that some shit is wrong. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
and I remember being a youngin and watching like interview, because you know there was no YouTube or nothing like that at that time.
No, it
So
wasn't.
and so I remember seeing you know, Dr. Khalid Muhammad uh on Donahue, and just to hear, you know, that wisdom and being able to break down the circumstances in which we live was something powerful that made me you know, more open to receive, you know, knowledge itself when it was that time. You had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Khaled, and if you can build on some of that, and you know, some of the things that you learned from him.
Oh man, well, actually, you know, when I met him through his son. He had a son that was I'm not sure what college he was going to, but he was going to one of the colleges in Atlanta. Yeah, and he would come to this one of the guards' house. So, you know, I would build with him. He said, "Man, my pops gonna like you, man." And
right.
And one day I was coming out of actually I was producing this female, me, DJ LES from Queensbridge, We was
Oh, word.
we was producing this artist named Sandra Nicole. And Sandra Nicole's father was the head minister at the mosque in Atlanta at Mosque T. So we would go eat these bean soup and fish sandwiches. And one day I caught him coming out of the mosque because we was walking to, I can't remember who stayed there. It was either Born Justice or True. Somebody was living around in that area. And him and his son was walking out. And his son introduced me. So that was the first time I met him. And Dr. Khalid has an excellent memory. Like his memory is like crazy. And I'm gonna speak of this too. There was a restaurant called Soul Vegetarian. And I was wondering why everybody was leaving. Everybody's leaving because he was coming in. So, and at this time, I would always have it on me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was leaving because they was giving everybody to leave. He said, "Nah, brother, you stay. I want you to stay." I said, "Okay, but I'm a little dirty though." He said, "I'm dirty too, black man." So I was like, so I laughed. So I sat down. So we started talking, man, and I was telling him how Tony Muhammad used to always talk about him. Shout out to Tony Muhammad, brother Tony Muhammad. He's always talking about him. And he said, "Man, you remind me of Tony Muhammad." He said, "Are you a revolutionary?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm a black revolutionary though." Because at this time, I was still dealing with that science as being a true and living God. Right. I always dealt with that. And we started talking about the 5%, and he really gave me an understanding on the differences from the Nation of Islam and Malcolm X going his way. Because I never knew that God. That God, I knew about Allah. Right. So I had to walk back and find out who's Elijah was, who's Farad,
Wow. Wow.
But I knew about Malcolm, but I didn't know about Elijah. I didn't know about none of that, God. I just knew about Allah, Malcolm, Harlem 6, Kenyatta 37, the Malcolm. I knew about all those things.
Right.
And once he broke that down to me, I saw him the second time at a gang treaty in California.
Wow.
And that's when we had a deep conversation, because at this time I was going through oh my God.
Peace. Yeah, what were you saying as far as Dr. Khalid Muhammad meeting him at the gang truce out there in LA?
Yeah, so when I met him there, he wanted me to, walk with him. And I was kind of not nervous, because, I never had a lot of security around me, and he had a lot of security. So when he braced me, he was like, "Man, I want to talk to you after we leave this." And it took a minute. So, and I never forget this. He had found out that I was on the Rule You Now. I was on a run. And he was like, "Man, if you feel," he was like, "Man, if you feel you can, sit down in the devil civilization, go ahead and get that sword from under you, man." But he also said, "Keep running if you can keep running."
Right.
He said that also.
Right.
And,
right.
So once, he was breaking down the structure of why he was trying to get all these Bloods, Crips, and all these individuals with this peace treaty. Tupac was there, as a matter of fact. Pac was there too. And I just knew, I said, "Man, this is a powerful, this man is powerful." Like,
Right.
So now that's why I can see how people would look at Farrakhan and all these other men. Yet I didn't see Farrakhan's resemblance in him. It was a little bit different, because As they say, he was with the shit.
Right.
I'm be honest with you.
Right.
Dr. Collins, he was with it. He was with it.
Right.
And he was really for black people because he wanted all of us. He would always tell me when we talk. I seen him 4 times, and he wanted to invite me and my man Freedom to Farrakhan's house in Chicago. Because I was telling him, I knew about Indianapolis, Indiana. And he was like, man, you should try Chicago. I said, well, I never been to Chicago. I know about such and such. He was like, yeah, man, well, you should try to go, and meet the brothers and sit down, man. Maybe you can help the brothers out as far as, Nation of Islam, bringing an understanding with God's and, God's and Nation of Islam. And I was like, nah, man, I'm not with no Malcolm X. I mean, I'm not with no Martin Luther King stuff, man. I'm still trying to fix, the structure of Atlanta, which, well, it's a different name. At the time, it was called the Lost Guard. I think they call
remember that.
I think they call it something different now. And he just, man, always instilled with me, man, always, be a revolutionary, man, no matter what, man. And, keep knowledge of yourself. And to this day, I still do this to this day. He said, every morning, look in the mirror and remind yourself that you're righteous. God, wow. I've been doing that for the last 30 years, God.
Wow. Like, from meeting them and being able to, walk and talk with them for, the times that you were able to do so. How did you feel whenever you got the news that he had returned to the essence?
Oh, man.
Because even those of us that didn't know him was hurt, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it kind of bothered me because he would always make statements like, man, they're going to kill me. He said that. And I'm not, even though my zodiac, whatever, is a Cancer, I'm really not an emotional dude or sensitive, even though I've learned how to control my emotions. And I was kind of down for like a day or two, like, damn.
Right.
Like, really? And it bothered me a little bit because a lot of people was quiet about it, man. You know that, man? There's a lot of people quiet about it. But then again, a lot of people will speak on it. And I never got a chance to see his son after that. His son just told me, like, and it touched me, man, because we needed that, man.
Oh,
whether he was a true living God or whatever he was, we still needed him because he could get to a lot of us who were rockheads, man. And a lot of us who was really striving for righteousness, or really get back on righteousness, or as Muslims say, get them back on their deen or however. And he was definitely the person for that to me.
Oh yeah, I agree, because he spoke the language. He knew the language of the street. He knew the language of the righteous. And he was able. And
oh yeah, I used to laugh about I used to laugh about eating. I used to eat bad. Well, I still do a little bit. I get into my chicken wings and stuff like that. And he's always preached vegetarian, this and that. And I like, man, I'm not an elephant, man. I need some meat, man. I like vegetables with my meat, So he was like, yeah, so just try to lay off the red meat. And he always tell me, go back and look at that book of How to Eat to Live. And I think that was probably one of the 3 books that I probably read fully.
Right.
Because I wasn't reading a lot. I was just reading 120 lessons, and I may take a look in the Quran or the Bible. Other than that, it was the lessons. Right. But I did read those books, Message the Black Man, How to Eat to Live, and those things. And he would always mention that all our conversations was about firearms too.
Right.
Learn how to really shoot a weapon, that.
Because that's a real science to that. People think that, like, that's why so many innocent people be getting hit nowadays, because people don't understand the science of how to use a firearm. Yeah. Go ahead, God. But not to cut your wisdom, it's just it's a lot that I want to kind of get to. Universal Stars recordings, right?
Yeah.
Coach K of QC, who everybody knows has what is responsible for the label that has Lil Baby, the Migos, a
Right.
lot of other you know cats that are doing big things. But you're musically, you actually did business and you know created music with QC, correct?
Yeah. Well, this happened before he started QC,
Yeah,
and
no, I'm saying like early like in the past, like
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Mhm.
definitely, yeah, definitely. Actually, man, I can't remember what year it was, but it was actually a group of us. It was, but the main four was myself, my man Freedom, Coach K, uh, his name. Well, actually, he went by Self then.
Mm. Oh, so he got knowledge.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He's definitely familiar with it.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
he doesn't study now, but he's just a righteous man.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
definitely got knowledge.
Hmm.
And and a few other cats. It was like DJs, producers, and we started a company called Universal Stars. And Coach, he started with us. So once we began to do those things, we had a couple of shows.
Hmm.
He was back then. Coach was doing he was the stylist, he was the manager, he was the boogie agent, he was pretty much everything. The only thing he didn't do was create music.
Right, right,
He
right.
never rapped, did anything like that. He just handled strictly, you know,
Hmm.
as and at that time, when everybody split, jobs, so they start having children and things like that. Actually, me and Coach is probably the only one who still does, who are pretty much still in the music industry, probably. Even though he's on his level, I'm just, you know, I'm sick of the music industry. I'm just sick of it
Are you
sometimes.
what
Yeah,
what
I'm sick of it.
what about the industry, kind of get you like that sometimes?
Well, as far as being a producer, I mean, DJing is still fun.
Hmm.
And producing uh, is fun too. Yet I don't like the transition of it, like the
Right.
streaming part, and
Oh yeah.
it's
Hmm.
I have to do a lot of work for hire work,
Right. Right. Right.
which is cool, but yet it's still I still need some paper or that signature or some money. However it goes,
Absolutely.
because some people, as our lesson would say, did they receive more gold? I received my gold. I got
Hmm.
mathematics.
Right.
So with my mathematics, I prefer mathematics with me consulting or doing A&R, however it is.
Hmm.
And I learned that from Coach later on because we was working on Trap God, I think. Gucci Mane's Trap God, the first Trap God. And
Dope.
I remember Gucci Mane bringing me to the side, man. Listen, man, this is what you got to do, man. Matter of fact, I still had cassettes. They had
Wow.
CDs and flash drives and all this. So he was like, man, you got to transition. And Gorilla Zoe too. They would teach me the game as it is today.
Hmm.
So, but today it's just a lot of stimulation driven,
Hmm.
a lot of I mean, people always fronted in records.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. They always did that. But now it just everything sounds exactly the same.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I saw.
And that bothers me. That
Yeah.
that bothers me a lot. But it's a system and it's working for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just
But it it kind of it makes you think, right? Like I'm not sure if you saw that um that stat that said like this was like the first time in like 20 something years there wasn't a number one hip hop record. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
oh yeah, definitely. Right, right.
I think it's because like you said, man, the creativity is on the mainstream level. You know what I'm saying? Is not where it should be. We have a lot of, I think we have a lot of underground artists that are extremely creative that just don't have the platform or the machine behind them. And kind of segueing into this, like you mentioned A&R work, like 80s, 90s, having a label, having A&R, you know, work with these artists was an important thing. Just like other aspects of hip hop, obviously things change, right? But I think some labels have gotten to the point where instead of having an A&R develop an artist, they look at it like, all right, I got artist A. When he fizzle out, I'm just gonna bring somebody else just like him. You know what I'm saying? To replace him, like it's like a cookie cutter. It's like a conveyor belt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like as
Yeah.
somebody who has done A&R work, if you can explain to the people why artist development is important.
Number one, two minds is better than one.
Mm,
And 4 ears is better than two
facts.
because it's a feeling.
Hmm.
So when the feeling is the foundation of things, it has to be the structure of, okay, we got to make this happen from a lot of zigzag Z. We got to start from A to Z. And someone has to know how to start from A to Z
Hmm.
because a lot of artists don't even know.
Right.
So if you have someone that's in the room that knows, it's better for them to bring what they know, even though the 85% is still deaf. They're not going to listen.
Right.
So you have to show them.
Mm.
And that's when A&R comes like, okay, hey, look, instead of wearing a polo, man, just wear a hoodie.
Hmm.
Wear sunglasses instead of schoolboys.
Hmm.
All that's a part of A&R too. That
Wow.
you and
Like
when
shaping like even shaping
you
how the
have
people
to.
see them. Yeah.
You have to. Just
Hmm.
like beat making is different from producing.
Hmm.
That's just what it is.
Hmm.
So when the A&R comes in, the A&R is bringing structure, different sound, different atmosphere, different genres, different placements, and all these things. Because either you can go up or you go down.
Hmm.
Because most A&R is just it can just be one artist that you have a take off.
Right.
So now the system is looking like, okay, what you gonna do next?
Mm. Right.
So now you may not use the same structure as you did with the one that took off.
Hmm.
Because that individual can't dress maybe. They may want to use auto tune.
Hmm.
So now you got like, oh, okay, no, we're gonna do this. And that's all A&R is doing.
I've seen situations where somebody goes viral off of a song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, they got a deal and they're doing shows in front of these like sold out crowds at these big festivals and they look like a fish out of water, like they don't know what to do, like because they get thrusted into a situation extremely fast and the label's not even not even helping them with anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. That's why today labels don't want that. Labels want you're already moving.
Right, right, right,
So
right.
you're already moving. Okay, here's a check to help you move a little bit, and we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
open these 5 doors open for you to see what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Do you think
But
it?
go ahead. After those doors open, now they sit back and watch.
Mm,
Okay, so 9 times out of 10, those who sit back and watching, don't know nothing about what they're watching.
right.
So someone like you and me had to sit in these offices with them. Like, oh, okay, there it is. Now
Mm,
that's okay. Put that to the side. That right there, trash. Let's focus on that. Then they write the check.
right, right.
That's just how it goes. And I don't like that part of the game. We got to figure all that out before we deal with any of that. Okay, who you
Mm,
know? Where you come from? Yeah. How long you been doing this? Do you know what publishing is? Do you know what points are? Do you know what all these things? Because I feel artists should be able to already know these things when they get in the business. Like I said, it's a music business.
For real. Yeah.
You should know how to apply. If you go apply for a job, you still have to apply for the music business.
Right, right.
It's the same thing.
Right, right. What's your qualifications, right?
What are they? You know? So,
yeah, because that's I just see that a lot, and I'm glad you kind of mentioned that and broke some of that down, because a lot of people maybe not understand why we can look at the early 90s and mid 90s and see artists that look like they were polished, right? Because you had a team working with them and their team to make sure that everything was polished. They don't, these labels, like you said, these labels don't care now. They're trying to catch whatever the wave is and kind of help you make your wave a little bit bigger, and then until the next wave come. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a way to, and I guess that's sustainable for them, but at the end of the day, the fans of the music and the people that are within the culture, that from the A&Rs, from the street teams, like they suffer a little bit too. You know what I'm saying? Because of the direction everything is going. I wanted to ask you too, yo, God, what's the Yellow Top crew? What's the Yellow Top crew, God?
Oh man, YTC, huh? Well, YTC is actually, I want to try to do a movie on them, man.
Mm-hmm.
And YTC it's a crew from Upper West Side of Manhattan, man. And these brothers, well, I had a different crew, but I knew Chungo and Titon. They were smart dealers that got caught up into the drug trade of New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And these are some real good dudes, man. And their story is real. And I'm a part of it because I was there. I saw it.
Right.
I would hit a bang. I and not to say our crew tried to mimic them, yet we would see them like, dang, why? Like these was like some regular, like regular Spanish dudes.
Right. Right.
So, but the outcome of their trials and tribulations, it has to be told, man, because they can tell the bad side.
Mm-hmm.
No good side. They're gonna tell the bad side of it. I'm gonna tell the bad side of it, so people won't, go down that path of destruction. Because today, most people in the music industry, 87% of the music is driven about drugs.
Oh yeah,
that's just what it is. Drugs and drugs.
Yeah. Yep. Whether they selling them or doing them.
Exactly, and they're doing them more than they selling.
Real talk.
So and Yellow Top crew, Chungo. Shout out to Chungo and Titon, man. It's funny. Their plug at the time, I knew their plug's father. Their plug's father, would hang out at a bodega on 107th in Amsterdam, and I once lived on 107th in Amsterdam. And YTC crew, man, it's your average gangster dealer movie, but yet it's gonna be a positive spin.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna get them to write it. I'm just gonna, sprinkle my, things on it. So hopefully, I can get that into it. It's funny because my sister loves talking about it. I tell the stories about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
we definitely gonna be on the lookout for that. I wanted to ask you, because it's kind of building off of something in another interview that I saw you speak on, and I thought it was interesting, just especially the idea of New York City being a melting pot. You know, from the early 1900s, you had Jamaicans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, um, you know, original people from all over the Caribbean coming to New York City. And the idea of going through the lessons with somebody in Spanish, um, you know, whether you were actually walking somebody through 120 or like with a family member or something that, you know, mostly spoke Spanish and you wanted to convey an idea, you know, from the lessons in Spanish. Just I had never thought about that until I heard you, you know, build on it. Um, is that something that, you know, even if it doesn't happen often, is that something that gods in New York City, you know, may have to do sometimes? And is that like a, you know, is that a thing?
Yeah.
Mm,
Most, so I come from a Dominican background
hmm
uh, on my father's side. And like I said, I'm not a perfect Spanish speaking person,
hmm
and when it comes to the lessons with it, I would practice with family members,
right.
to properly get, how to say certain things or where to say it, or better yet, some guards who really
hmm
speak Spanish. That's why I went ahead and got the math alphabet and 120 lessons in Spanish from
hmm
my Spanish friends.
mm
But when I'm
mm
speaking to them, I was like, okay, look, man, such and such. Now you see, and it'd be a clear picture
hmm
from the Catholic or Pentecostal structure that most, Hispanics or Latin people, as they want to call us, you know, come from.
right.
And when we have Dominican, I know most of the Dominican guards. That's just what it is.
hmm
And most of us have had those issues where we try to explain to our parents, when you're a
hmm
newborn, you know everything,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
really don't know anything. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Because
yeah,
you're learning.
right.
So yeah, we're so fiery, and
hmm
we want the family to respect our way of life now
right,
or what it's
right.
becoming. And a
Yeah, I
lot of
remember
times,
those days.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they don't understand it because so we'll start with the swine first. That'd be the first thing first before
hmm
before we get to tell them that we gods or whatever.
Right, right, right.
And so once we start moving around with that,
hmm
and in New York City, having uh the Puerto Rican side of things, it was a little different because most Puerto Ricans gonna speak English also.
hmm
So they'd be able to translate in the manner. That's why a lot of Spanish guards are speaking up now. If you
hmm
start seeing blogs now, because now we need those structures because we have guards in Colombia, Panama,
hmm
all these places now.
Right.
And when they reach out to me, sometimes I would need certain translators for me to say certain words.
hmm
Now I can talk to someone who's studying now
Right. Right.
and give it to me. Okay, no, he said like this, God. I said, oh, okay. Even
Mm.
with my man now a lot.
hmm
I remember we did a project, we did a song. Oh man, what's the name of that record? Now a lot. He's from Lynn, Massachusetts.
hmm Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
SD Knack. That's his
Yeah,
name.
SDNet. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Knack. And
hmm
there's so many Dominican guards over there in their town.
Yeah, because I remember the god King Asiatic.
Yeah. That's my
rest in
brother, King
power. Yeah,
Asiatic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And rest in peace to my man, King Asiatic. And he brought them all to my crib at the time. And they stayed the night, man. And I was showing them the structure of our neighborhood. How,
hmm
certain Dominican guards would be down the hill. Then you go up the hill. You got
Right.
the knucklehead Dominican guards. Then you got, because now in our neighborhood, sad to say, gang gangs is heavy, and the young guards are cripping is the way of life, and being a 5% is the religion. So it's my duty to go change that. Like, hold on, no. That's not what this is, and that's not how we're gonna do this, and we're gonna fix this because the young feels now. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. One of the young guys say, "God, why I can go with one of my homies and get a Metro card, but I can't go downtown to our school and get a Metro card." That makes sense, God. So that young God feels neglected per se.
Right.
So, it becomes a bad thing where if you don't come around, you don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember a young brother at one time, long time ago though. I was striving to give him mathematics, and he was like, "Yo, how this go give me some money?" You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't saying it in a disrespectful manner. It was the idea that he was so focused on his need for food, clothing, and shelter that if what I was saying to him wasn't making sense in that manner, right, like then he wasn't trying to hear it. And you've
Which
also
he's right, though. Which he's right.
right. That's what I'm saying.
You
Right. And at that time, nobody had asked me that in that manner before. And so I had to think about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I remember that question to this day.
Yeah, man. I get that question all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
How can I get some money, man? You just get money, but still, I had to learn how to chew gum and walk.
And not to cut your wisdom, Lord, but you mentioned, because it's kind of the same thing. You mentioned like the culture, right, and what it means to live our culture out correctly. Like when you see these young gods and looking at gang life and things of that nature, like what are the ways you can show them that, hey, yo, this is not the way we do it. Not even just that, this is not going to end up, it's not going to end up good for you as far as what you're doing, because it's not righteous. Like how you get through to I know everybody's different, everybody has their own style wisdom, but just for people that give people I guess a peek inside our culture and some of the things that we have to deal with.
Well, the saying, what's the saying? Guilty by affiliation. See, I'm guilty by being affiliated with Crips. So if I know a truer living that comes from a Los Angeles Crip background, I have to bring the best knower for that manifestation. Outside of the manifestation that I know, man, you're either gonna die, such and such, blah blah blah, such and such, blah blah blah. And that's the same thing with our culture. We still have some knuckleheads that's over here and over there that's still, buck dancing per se. But yet we still got to show them the better way of living this thing. I have questions. A lot of people don't know why we ask each other today's mathematics. That's another thing. A lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people don't know what really is the way of life of this.
Right.
What is the culture of this besides mathematics, nothing less,
and besides hip hop, right? Because you said in an interview as well, and I definitely want you to build on that. Like, our culture is not rap culture.
It's not. This culture was not built off hip hop. This culture wasn't built off of rap. So when people hear these rap songs, oh, what's that? Let me go see what this is. So they flock to it that way, feeling like this is what this is, like the Zulu Nation. No, we're not the Zulu Nation.
Right.
This is not what that is. If you want to use that structure for that, you can join the Zulu Nation and deal with that as hip hop. But this culture and way of life is something, a structure to civilize the deaf, dumb, and blind, and we have a duty. And our duty is to teach what we know to those who don't know, regardless to whom or what. Whether you black, Muslim, white, ugly, fat, whatever it is, we still have a duty to teach. And that structure has to remain that way, man.
Right.
And we have to stop saying what he said, she said. We have to stop doing that, because a lot of times it'd be not what he said or she said. It's just, great self-style wisdom, because hip-hop is very big now, billions of dollars, man. And hip-hop leads people in the wrong direction too.
Oh, absolutely. I try to, I get in those conversations a lot. A lot of people don't really understand how the mind works, because for anybody to say that the music can't, and and this is not to say that the music is the sole reason for anything, because we're not crazy, you know what I'm saying? But to act like it doesn't have attracting powers to people that are young, especially young people, you know what I'm saying? Like, it has any influence over them, then that's not correct. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of leads me to what I wanted to ask you. Like, even though we said that, hip hop culture, 5% culture is not hip hop culture, it's not rap culture. Hip hop culture has at one point obviously been influenced by our culture. Do you think that
this culture has influenced drug dealing too? It has influenced this, it has influenced that. Of course, yes. But the foundation of it isn't that.
Right.
The first nine born rappers?
Absolutely not.
With the Harlem Six rappers, we had some that were singers or whatever, such and such. Yeah, they left a singing group to become righteous in these things. So people always leave that history out. Right. We got to keep the foundation how it was. The foundation was knowledge yourself, know yourself. It wasn't learn how to rap, be an MC, be a b-boy,
say clever bars, right?
Right, and a lot of people use this as a tool, man. And I get it,
Yeah, you definitely mentioned that earlier. As far as using it just to sound fly and not really understanding what you're saying.
Yeah, because I got it like that, I got it like that. It was lingo.
Right.
Let me get the CI. Oh, C type of pussy, da-da-da-da. All that, man, but once you run into true and living God, all that goes like the breeze through the trees. Right. So now you have to study, because you're being taught. Right. You're in a learning process. You're not taking it for face value or sound value.
No doubt. Well, Shot 7, I wanted to say again, God, I appreciate you for coming through Wild's the Dome TV.
Anytime, bro.
That's what I was gonna say. I definitely want to have you, as somebody that comes through, whenever, you know what I'm saying? For people that want to I guess find you on socials and see what you got going on, let everybody know how they can find more about Shot 7.
Yeah, man, y'all can tap in with me on Twitter, Montreal Musica, or Instagram. Shot 7159. That's how you can tap in with me. Y'all want some music, however, do some business, or y'all want me to come speak to your school, however, tap in with me. Or tap in with the God. The God know how to reach me.
Absolutely. Well, God, to the next time, you be easy, and peace to the God.
No doubt. Peace, God.